Brian Gutekunst is here, one of the best GMs in football. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. We got a little heat here in Green Bay today, so it's for us. This is a little hot, so it's
Bro,
it's
I was
good
in
for our guys.
Baltimore and DC. This is nothing.
I know, right? You're
Toughen
right.
up.
Right, but for our guys, it's important.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's important. All right, before we get to the football, most surprising, fun, whatever thing you did this offseason.
Chased a lot. My son around in 15U baseball all over the country, and that was a lot of fun.
Can you coach? You do
No,
a little coaching?
no.
Okay.
I try to stay away from that, particularly with my son. So yeah. Don't need that in the household.
Where's the best place you went in your offseason?
We did go. Well, so my family and I went to Italy. So we went
there you go.
for about 9 days, and that was really fun. All 6 of us, and that was we don't get together that much, so that was really nice. How about you?
I have a 2-year-old. Nowhere. Disney. Disney in my house and the park and,
Right.
and the pool by a golf course. All right, so let's talk about football. Biggest difference between the 2024 team and the 2025 team. You can take this anywhere you go before we get into the nitty gritty. But the biggest difference in your mind is what?
Yeah, I think they're a little more intentional. Obviously, everybody knows we've had a young team kind of growing over the last few years, and I think these guys have turned into pros. And I think the way they're approaching it is very intentional. They're serious about their business, and that's been good to see.
With Jordan last year, obviously he gets injured in Brazil. I'm hand-waving a lot of that stuff that we saw last year, some of the mistakes, whatever. But, like, how would you diagnose his 2024 season after 2023, second half of the season, best quarterback in football for a long stretch of it? And when I talked to Coach LaFleur after that season, he was talking about his growth, setting protections and all the things he was doing. And I thought you're looking at a Super Bowl contender from the Packers standpoint. Didn't happen. How do you diagnose that?
Yeah, no, obviously, I was really proud of him, how he worked through the beginning of the season with an injury. I think, for a young quarterback, learning how to play through injury, learning what each team every year you need, how to relate to that and step into that leadership role. I thought he did an excellent job for us. Continues to grow as not only as a player but as a person for us. And again, couldn't be happier that he's our quarterback.
Explain the Green Bay model to me. Like, it's so interesting because, like, I read Ron Wolf's book from 30 years ago, a couple of years ago, and then obviously Ted, and then you. Like, if someone comes to you and says, explain how a Green Bay front office works, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it's obviously a lot about process, kind of the process that Ron implemented way back in the early 90s, and obviously through Ted and now myself. And everything evolves. But the fundamental pillars of that process is still very much in place. It's about boots on the ground. It's about the work. And I think we traditionally in our front office, guys come through our system and usually stay, and that's kind of how we build things. So draft and develop has always been something that's been very, very important to us. It's kind of the lifeblood of this organization. Not that we don't acquire players other ways, but we very much believe that to be successful, you're going to have to draft, you're going to have to develop your players.
I want to ask about the development, but real quick, what's the number one thing Ron, that system taught you, whether it's Ron, whether it's Ted, taught you about football that you would not know if you did not live here, if you did not work here?
I don't know if there's particularly one thing. I mean, it's the overall kind of philosophy of building a team and what matters, what doesn't. Again, you got to give players the time to develop into professional football players. At the same time, you got to move on if it's not working.
The development part of it, obviously there's going to need to be some internal development for you guys to go from good to great this year. Are there a couple guys you're circling and saying this is going to be an in-house improvement, or this guy is really taking a leap and fans can be excited about?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of them. I mean, I think, again, we brought in 2 really good players in free agency last year, in Xavier and Josh. Again, proven players in this league, but in their second year with us and the way we go about things. So I certainly think that the sky's the limit for those guys. And then we just got a really across the board offensively and defensively, a lot of guys that are entering their 3rd or 4th year, which is really, to me, where you start to find out what you're all about. So excited for that, and it's really very early, but I'm excited to see that how they capitalize on the opportunities that are given.
How do you monitor development? We were just BSing earlier, a couple guys and I, about Devontae Adams, where it didn't look like he was going to be the best receiver in football in year 1 or year 2. He gets the ankle injury. People are signing replacements, and everybody's saying, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, a couple years in, it pops. Like, how closely do you monitor that? What is the key? I know it's a huge question, but what is the key to that kind of development? Just being patient while understanding there's 53 guys on the roster.
No, I think, again, and I mentioned it earlier, you have to have enough patience to allow these guys to grow, and you'd love to rush it. We all would, but you can't. Not every player is the same. Their timeline isn't. But I think as long as they're putting in the work ethic, and you start to see the development, you start to see the positives. You got to hang in there, particularly with the guys that are as talented as a guy like Devontae or others.
I don't think I need to mention, because it's been talked about a lot, big drop rate last year. Matthew Golden comes in, first-round pick, gets everybody excited at the draft. I know this is sort of a talk radio question, but like, how important can Matthew Golden be this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping he'll be very important to us. Certainly, he's done a very nice job for us so far. Again, it's his rookie season. We got a really good group there. We didn't need to rely on a rookie to come in, but at the same time, every opportunity he's been given so far, he's really done a nice job. So as those opportunities increase through the next 3 weeks here, and as he gets more comfortable in our offense, I think those roles will be determined. But every time we've given him an opportunity so far, he's done a nice job.
One more on that, like the Ted Thompson. Like we've talked about this before, but like, people get so mad in the offseason, especially when there's inaction, when it's not, hey, you didn't go out and get this, or hey, what's up with the cornerback room? Explain to me how, having watched it in the past, watching whether it's Ted ignore the noise or whatever, that you're able to just say, okay, I believe in the team, I believe in this 53, or what 53 is going to be.
Well, you're constantly evaluating, and assessing your roster. And it's 365 days a year, and it changes so much, the violent nature of our game and the injuries. So it's what you perceive as a strength now could be a need very quickly. But at the same time, it's never about the outside noise, even sometimes the inside noise. It's about your football team, and and assessing it day to day. But at the same time, what I've realized about the outside noise is it's not if you sign free agents, if you sign the ones that they're talking about. Because last year we signed a couple, I think, and then this year we signed a couple, and obviously there's a lot of storylines and big names, and that's what everybody gets wrapped around. And if you don't sign those guys, it becomes a thing. But we've always been in the free agency market. I think sometimes there's different years and where you have more, ammunition to do so, and sometimes the players available are different. So,
if you could wave a wand and get, and maybe you don't care, but the nation or the fan base or to understand something about the 2025 Packers, what would it be?
Just what a good group of guys we got in here. I mean, they're a selfless group. The way they're working, again, we got a long ways to go, but these guys are really connected, and they're giving their all, and just really like the way they work unselfishly.
All right, fun stuff. We do something called Badasses. Most badass guy you've ever been around in football. It can be anybody, for any reason, but we know kind of what that means. Toughness, physicality. You've been around a lot. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think, it's easy for me, and it encompasses a lot of things, but Reggie White. When I first got here, Reggie was just, he's intimidating. Obviously had a size presence to him. Otherworldly player, but yeah, when he spoke, everyone, coaches, support staff, every player in that locker room would stop. And so yeah, that would be the one.
What was the most impressive thing you ever saw him do?
I just think the way he took 330-pound men and just kind of ragged on them. When he wanted direct practice, it was just a choice. For him.
And he changed the notion of Green Bay nationally when he comes
100%.
As a free agent.
Yeah, no, I think there's no 90s Super Bowl without Reggie White.
Right? Yeah, that's for
he
sure.
really the last, since Ron got here, the last 30-some years without Reggie being here, all this way this process has evolved, that probably doesn't exist.
We do something called one rep back, which is a player can have a play back, or a coach can have a play call back. We've asked GMs before if there's a scouting report or some guy where they're just like, I would have loved to have that guy on my team.
Yeah.
Trying to think of Veach didn't see it in Fred Warner. That was the big one. Brandon Beane didn't see it in Puka Nacua. Is there a guy where you're just like, or it could be as simple as I wanted to get that guy and we couldn't maneuver it.
Yeah. There's a bunch of guys I could go through, but the one that comes to mind is Frank Gore. Frank Gore was such a good player. You knew it from the time he was a freshman. He also had 2 knees, 2 shoulders, and ran 4.6 something when he was in the pro day, right? So I think, I was a Southeast scout at the time, and obviously had concerns with all those things, but he was a tremendous player. I knew it. Probably should have stood on the table for that. So that's one of those that I'll always take with me.
So you went to those old Miami practices?
Oh, yeah.
Frank Gore and Los Medeiros?
Yeah, it was really, it was in the first 7 years of my my scouting career, and could not have been a better environment to develop as a scout.
It's just, that was it. Like that's Southern United States is where the football players were. Yeah. So you just drove around. What kind of car do we have? Right? Or just a rental?
No, we had the Crown Vic, the beige Crown Vic.
Okay.
And again, that program for about 5 or 6 years, there was 20-some first-round picks out of that. The way they practiced and competed, is something that left a huge mark for me.
What were the other? So it was Florida State.
Yeah, all that. I mean, it was Florida State.
Just on the turnpike, up in the Crown Vic. What's on the radio in the Crown Vic in 2002, 2003?
Oh, I'm straight 80s classic rock.
Yeah, of course.
A little country here and there, but
Bon Jovi type deal.
Yeah, all that stuff.
So we're just cruising down the turnpike, listening to Bon Jovi, going to Scout.
Probably not. Maybe
Dorsey.
More Def Leppard.
Def Leppard. Excuse me.
More Def Leppard, and So.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you.
it.